or two. A soft breeze on a June night was a perfect setting for letting dreams come true.
Another day at the boat show.
Chris and I are at the Sheridan today, and we looked out our window and I see these guys working on scaffolding. And how would you like a job like that? Not for the faint of heart.
My knees go weak just thinking about it.
Oh my gosh, that's a long ways down. You excited about getting to the boat show?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. Got a lot of things to see yet.
You're driving like a maniac. We're at the Toronto Boat Show and I'm here with Greg from Parks Canada, and he's going to show us how a lock works.
So this lock is modeled after the Fenland Falls lock. The Fenland Falls lock is a 24-foot drop.
Okay.
So basically, if you're coming to a lock station, if you're approaching, the gates are open, the light's green, you would enter the lock station, right?
Okay.
If the gates are closed or the light's red, you want to tie the blue line. That's the staging area for the vessels. It indicates to the lock staff that you're wanting to go through.
Okay, so if the light is red, the boats wait until you give them a green light?
Yeah.
And then they can proceed through.
Gates are open, all the boats that have come up have exited the lock. So.
Have exited, okay.
And then we would close the upper gates on the lock. From our point of view, that's way down there.
So now the boat is in this particular space in between the locks?
In the lock chamber, yeah.
Okay, in the lock chamber?
Yeah, so on the actual lock stations, there's the drop cables all the way down. You want to take your lines, you want to loop them, not tie them, and you want to watch them for the entire descent or rise in the lock.
Right.
These locks, some are worse than others, but like some of the big locks like Fenland and Burley Falls, Swift Rapids, it takes, because of the water pressure on the valves, it takes feet and feet to stop, right? So you want to be watching those the whole time.
So it is pretty rough in there? There's a lot of current?
Coming upstream, there's more than going down.
That's right, we knew that, yeah.
Yep.
So you've seen in our films before the lines that we hold on to, and that's what he's talking about in here. And it's best to get a purchase of 2 lines on any boat, I suspect, but, right?
I would agree.
Yeah.
So then we open the valves once the boats are in and secured. All the valves on all the lock stations are gravity based, so some of them have the valves in the bottom, some are side fed. Quite a few of the locks have gate fed valves, those are the most turbulent when you're coming up.
Which ones are the most turbulent?
The gate valves.
Okay. We've been in the Welland Canal as well, and I believe those are side
valves, probably.
Yes, I think so, yeah. So the boat's in between the 2 locks. This is how they can have a lake that is 24 feet, did you say?
Fenland Falls is 24.
24 feet. This lake would be 24 feet in elevation lower than the body of water above it.
And the gates on all the locks are measured upstream, right?
That's right,
so the
yes.
water pressure actually
pushes them closed. Yeah.
At a lock station, whether it be a mechanized lock station or a manual lock station, on a mechanized one, if you have an inch or 2 of differential, you might get the gates to open. On a manual one, you've pretty much got to be even get the gates to push open because of the water pressures.
So even an inch of water would make that much of a difference?
On the manual locks, for sure.
Oh yeah? That's interesting. I was telling Greg that he needs to have a sailboat in here as well as these big noisy power boats that we hear in the water. They do look fun though.
So the water's all the way down now, so the gates have separated a bit. That actually happens on an actual lock, but not to that degree.
So Greg has just said that the water levels now in this lock have lowered to be the same level as the body of water on the other side of this lock. Now the gates will open.
That's it.
That's how the
And we'll go out.
Joe, and I'm here with Chris Purchas.
How you doing, sir?
Nice to meet you.
Awesome.
Chris has got a company called MSI, and they're very well known in Canada and America and perhaps even worldwide for solar panels.
Well, yeah, we ship panels all over the world. I've got a good customer in Kentucky. I've got customers all over the United States. So, yeah, all over Canada for sure.
So you must be seeing a lot of sailors
Yes.
using solar panels now.
Absolutely, because it's a way to remain completely off-grid, and you can completely support your boat
Yep.
and power your boat without ever needing to run a generator or starting the engine. In the case of a sailboat, typically they have to start their engines to charge their batteries.
Yep.
Now they can be out for extended periods of time, anchored or relaxing, and while they're relaxing, the sun is charging their batteries. So it's really a win-win.
Really fantastic. So we're speaking to MSI at the show about their flexible panels.
Yeah.
And you've got several types of flexible panels. And
I
what
do.
can you tell us about these?
I carry a wide range. The two big sellers this year, these are sun power panels. So
Yep.
they're semi-flexible. They're designed to go on a bimini top.
Yep.
And we also have Solbeam panels. These are Solbeam SR Plus panels. They're a brand new panel made in Italy. And these are super, super heavy duty panels that can be walked on. So a lot of our customers that have big sailboats, they have limited space. So these panels can be installed on the deck and you can actually walk on them.
Wow.
So those are the two that sailboats usually like are one of these two.
Yeah.
Now we have a really innovative system as well, because if you have a bimini top, one of the biggest challenges has been how do you install the semi-flexible panel on the bimini top.
Yeah.
Quite often that involved sewing Velcro to your top.
Well, we had that exact same challenge. We had the little clips, that flip over that had to be sewn in,
Yep.
and they leaked, and it was
Yep.
just a big issue. Right?
So last year, actually, one of my sailboat customers came to me with the idea of magnets. And we started doing some testing. We did some real-world testing on his boat, and we gave it to some of his friends. And we've now developed a complete system where you can install panels on a bimini top using magnets. So you literally screw these magnets into the semi-flexible panels.
Yep.
You place the panel on the roof of the boat, and you secure it underneath with other magnets. These are neodymium magnets, rare earth magnets. They're very, very strong, and they do the job very well.
Excellent. Well, very nice. We'll certainly be talking about your products more
No, I
as the
appreciate
year
it.
goes by, and we're going to put some of these products on our boat, and we'll certainly let you all know about the new innovation we've got from MSI.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just so you've done it. Well, let me introduce you.
Thank you.
We got Wally Moran here with us, and Wally's well known in the ICW cruising community. You've been up and down the coast how many times?
37 just completed.
37 times, so he's a bit of an expert, I'd say. And Wally is talking here at the Toronto International Boat Show, sharing his information with people, talking about the fear of leaving the dock and stretching your wings and going south, right? So
That's part of it, yeah, and explaining how to do it, how to make it easy. Everybody is afraid of the ICW, and there's nothing to be afraid of. It's like the trick to the ICW is you wake up in the morning, you do 25 to 50 miles, and about 3 weeks later, you're in Miami. You just keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
You just take it in little bites.
yeah, so you've got an organization now called Sail to the Sun.
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that now?
This is our 6th year. We just finished our 6th trip south. We started in Norfolk, and we take 2 months to run south to Miami.
Yeah.
And I think if you average that out, it's like 20-some miles a day or something. We're not going fast. We're taking time to explore and enjoy the trip. So but when you get down to Miami, you're not completely frazzled by the trip you've just made.
Yeah, so how many boats normally would go with you for that?
Anywhere from 14 to 18 or 19.
Well, that's a pretty big crowd.
It's a big crowd, yeah.
Wow.
But-
So these people build relationship with one another?
Oh, man. They stay in touch with each other years later. They have get-togethers. They join together to go sailing or on cruises. Each group I create a Facebook group for each year going down, so we can communicate, things that are important.
Sure.
Like on whose boat we're meeting for drinks.
You have your priorities straight.
Absolutely. And of course, there's the navigation information and everything else that goes on there too.
Yeah.
But I leave those groups intact for the group each year so they can stay in touch with one another, and they do.
Yeah.
And it's really entertaining to me. And I got to admit, I'm very proud of the fact that I have created these new friendships among people who would have never met.
Yeah.
It's my biggest achievement as far as I'm concerned.
And I got to say too, Wally has created community all over the place because you've got what, like 5 Facebook
More
groups?
than that.
How many?
Though the big one is 8 or 9, I think.
Tell everybody, what's that?
We've got our biggest group is sailing and cruising. We're 112 people short of 50,000.
Wow.
And I'm really pleased to now we're having a contest with some really great prizes for the 50,000th new member.
Okay.
So, and I'm just setting that up now as a matter of fact, but I'm already looking at close to $1,000, possibly $1,500 in prizes that'll be
goodies.
available to every member.
That's great.
So,
And what other? You do cruising Cuba?
sailing and cruising Cuba.
Okay.
Sailing and cruising with kids, sailing and cruising with pets. We have a group for the military people. And I just started, it's not formally a part of sailing and cruising, I set it up for, it's about cruising sober. Because in the cruising community, there's as in life, there's a certain number of people who are dealing with those kinds of issues.
Yeah.
And a cruising group set up to support that, or a group set up for cruisers who are dealing with that issue, I think is a good idea.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. We met Wally, actually, and I'm not sure how well you remember this, but Deb and I
Was
were...
I sober at the time?
I think you were sober at the... Well, you know what? You might have been coming back to the pub.
No,
But,
I think I was going to the shore at that time.
yeah. So anyway, Deb and I had just anchored in Treasure Key, and we'll put a little link to that episode here up in the corner. You'll see that come up. Deb and I had just come into Treasure Key, and Wally came over, and you had like a tin tender.
A 10-foot aluminum dinghy.
Aluminum
And I
dinghy.
sold it, and I miss it terribly.
Yeah, well, beautiful. I saw you were looking for one, actually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, he
Any of
comes
your readers have
over.
a 10-foot aluminum dinghy, I'm in the market.
Yeah, and Edwana is your...
Edwana.
Edwana, his dog was with him, and Wally came over, and we got talking, and I've done a bit of writing, and we did a bit of kletzing about, the different places we've been in the world. You're a Canadian.
I am.
You've worked at Manitoulin Island, which Debbie grew up there.
I worked for Canadian Yacht Charters in Gore Bay,
Yeah.
and I was being paid to take people out on lovely boats that weren't mine, so I spent a week with each group.
Yeah.
We'd visit around, we'd learn to sail if they wanted to learn how to sail, and at the end of the week I would come back, I would get paid, and if the boat broke down, it wasn't my problem to fix it.
Isn't that nice?
Mind you, they were good boats, we never had a breakdown, which was nice. So
And you wrote for Cruising World, or write for Cruising World.
I write for Cruising World freelance there, yes.
Wow. Now, this ICW thing, Deb and I just did it. So we've seen it front to back. Maybe not all the highs and lows, but we've seen a few of them. We've certainly gone through the tides of Georgia, which is a whole other subject we could talk about, sailing through Georgia right now. There's a bit of a political thing going on there.
Yeah, with
too.
the anchoring, yes.
Now, you must need a great big huge boat to do this trip.
I've seen people, the smallest boat I'm aware of that's ever done the ICW, other than a jet ski, it was on a 14-foot Wayfarer dinghy.
Really?
And this guy's famous for doing, he's
like an
gone
albacore.
now. It's like an albacore.
Yeah.
And he's done all these amazing journeys on this little boat, including like sailing from Britain to Iceland on this 14-foot dinghy.
Yeah.
So he took 7 seasons to do the entire ICW from Key West all the way up into the Great Lakes, in fact.
Yeah.
And I remember the first trip I was making south, and I'm in this 34-foot ocean-qualified sailboat.
Yeah.
I'm nervous, and I kept reminding myself, look, that guy did it in a 14-foot boat. What are you worried about?
Yeah.
That was a real comfort to me, believe it or not. I remember thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure. So what proportion of Canadians and Americans do you have in your group usually?
It varies. Usually, out of say 18, I'll have 3 or 4 Canadians.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes more, sometimes less.
Yeah. And do people do this more than once with you, or is it usually
They have.
a one-time thing? And
I've had several people do it twice. The first time, if they've not done the ICW before, it's because they want the reassurance of being able to do it safely, of having somebody do the thinking about shoaling and bridges and timing, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
They're thinking of navigational issues. When they do it a second time, it's because they really enjoyed themselves and they enjoyed the social aspect.
Yeah.
And at the end of every trip, what comes to people more than anything else is the fact that the social aspect
Yeah.
is what they enjoyed more than anything else.
And that was, for us, that was the big, like we met people in the Erie Canal, the end of the Erie Canal.
Yeah,
Who we sailed with all the way to the Bahamas.
exactly.
And it was just beautiful to, not all the time, mind you, we know we'd bump into them here and bump into them there, but it was nice to have that touchstone as you go sort of down the,
What happens when people decide they're going to go south? Okay, they've given up their job, they've gone away from their home, their family, their friends. Everything that has made up their life to that point is now behind them. They're on their own, and this is really a rare thing for people to do, to step out on their own.
Absolutely.
And have nothing behind them. So by going in a rally, you have a group, you have a built-in group that is sharing the same goals and the same challenges that you're dealing with, and it just makes it a lot more comfortable for everybody.
Yeah.
And a little secret that I don't ever always tell everybody.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Most women.
do we have to whisper?
We should probably say it quietly. Most women know that their husband is not Sir Francis Drake or Christopher Columbus,
Yeah.
despite the fact he may think so. And I get that.
Yeah.
And what they really, really want is somebody out front that they absolutely knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that they don't trust their husbands, it's they just maybe like a little backup for them.
I hear you.
We can
I
say
hear
it that
you.
way. But the other thing is, as I said, it's the social aspect of it more than anything else. You've got a built-in group of people that you can share your adventure with.
Yeah.
A social group, and that's important.
That's one thing, Wally, that it really struck us that, for Deb especially, because just for some of the reasons you just said, but for Deb especially, it struck us on this trip how many firsts there were for us. The first time that our boat is dried out from a tide, the first time that we've dragged our anchor, the first time that we've seen tidal waters even, first
Yep.
time we've been in salt water. Like, there were so many firsts in this trip and I can see how the reassurance that somebody like you would
Yeah.
offer would really,
Well, even things as simple as when you're going south, it's a busy, busy time in the fall. And a lot of people are anchoring out because they can't get dockage. I have all my dockage secured over a month before the rally starts.
Oh, wow.
Now, if you try and call a lot of marinas and say, well, I'd like to secure dockage for November the 12th, they're just going to say, call us when you get closer.
Yeah.
Because they know most people are not going to make those dates.
Yeah.
For 6 years, we have only one night not hit our date, and that was because of bad weather.
Yeah.
So the marinas know that when I say I'm going to be there with X number of boats,
Yeah.
I am there with X number of
and
boats.
you do some anchoring out, or?
We do some anchoring out. We anchor out about, on the way south up to Georgia, we anchor out about once a week.
Wow.
And from Georgia south, we'll anchor out a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
And from Florida south, we do almost no marinas.
So how, somebody signs up with you, they meet you in Norfolk, where do they end up?
Well, it depends. They end up where they want to.
Okay.
Some people will stop in St. Augustine, for example.
Yeah.
It depends what their destination is. Some will stop in Vero Beach. Some will go all the way to Miami, and then from Miami, they may be heading out to the Bahamas. They may be going to the West Coast. One couple went to Mexico a couple of years ago. Another couple went to Cuba.
Yeah.
It depends what
So
their
you'll
ultimate
end like in Key
destination is.
Biscayne or something like that, is that?
Yeah, most of the crew will end up
No
in Key
name or something
Biscayne.
like
Yeah,
that.
no name or Key Biscayne, waiting for the hop over to the Bahamas.
Yeah. So do people carry on into the Bahamas with you?
They have.
They have.
They have. I haven't formalized that because with the boat show and other issues that I deal with
Yeah.
after the rally, I can't always say, well, I'm leaving on January the 27th, for example.
We waited for 2 weeks and no name.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, waiting on a weather window, it could be 2 or 3 weeks sometimes.
Sure, yeah.
And like I said, I'm cautious. If I'm crossing the Gulf Stream, I want the right conditions.
and it means that these gates are open. Whoops, sorry.
Talk to me.